Hi chickpeas, welcome to another episode of my Self-Love September series. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, which, as you can see by the title, is all about how to release what no longer serves you. We become extremely attached over time to a whole bunch of things that simply do not serve us, and obviously the self-loving thing to do is to let go of those things, whether they are dreams, plans, projects, relationships, even locations, jobs, any of that kind of thing. When you recognize something is no longer serving you, it's not doing anything for you, it's giving you no emotional or spiritual return on your investment whatsoever, then of course it makes sense that you want to get rid of that thing so you can make space for wonderful new things to enter your life. But obviously releasing what no longer serves is easier said than done. One of the most important things that I personally learned on my journey of learning to release what no longer serves me is that it's okay to honor the ways in which something did serve me before it ceased to serve me. So there are a bunch of things in my life that I've had to let go of because they are harming me, they're not good for me anymore, they are not giving me life anymore. But in one way or another, in the past, they did mean something to me, they were important to me, or they did at least make sense. If you know that a relationship in your life has got to come to an end, you know that that relationship dynamic no longer serves you, and there's nothing that you can do about that, then it might be helpful for you to conduct some kind of a ritual to represent the journey that you went on with that relationship and to represent the awareness that you have that once upon a time it was relevant to you, it did serve you, it was good for you, but it's run its course. You can do the same thing with your house or apartment if you know that you need to leave, if you know that there is a new place calling you, if there is a new town or city calling you, if there is a new job or even a complete new career, a complete new field or industry that is calling you. It makes sense for you to show your respects, if you like, for what was working for you once upon a time and have a shamanic funeral to bring that phase of your life to some kind of end. There are so many habits and behaviors and tendencies that we foster over the course of time, and they come to really be damaging to us or unhelpful to us, and we need to learn to let them go. But if you look at the point of origin for a lot of those behaviors, you will find that there were really good reasons why those behaviors generated the way that they did, and maybe you did require those behaviors or those mindsets at a certain point in time, but you just no longer require them anymore. For instance, if you grew up in a home where you felt constantly under siege, you felt constantly attacked, you were being abused or you were at threat of being abused, then you probably built up all kinds of defenses and protective mechanisms around you so you could make sure that you would keep your guard up and you would always be hyper alert and hyper vigilant. And when you were a child in that childhood environment, those particular tendencies and mindsets were actually survival mechanisms for you. But now in the adult world, when you're trying to get a handle on intimate relationships and really give yourself fully to the friendships in your life, you might find that those tendencies that you developed in childhood to defend yourself and to survive are now sincerely unhelpful and you need to let go of them. So in those kinds of instances, and there are tons and tons of examples of that kind of thing, it makes sense that you would give that former mindset, that former perspective, the respect it's due, to look at it and say, okay, I understand the origin of this particular mindset or this particular way of being. I understand why I needed to utilize it at that time, but now it's no longer serving me. So it's really about honoring where you've been and the life journey that you've been on, rather than just being irritated by a mindset or a behavior or a hobby or a relationship, whatever it is that you feel is no longer serving you. Rather than being irritated with yourself for finding it difficult to shrug off, rather than being angry with it for being in your life, the best thing to do is to honor it and recognize why it is there, and recognize that you are now ready to move on to a new phase and you don't necessarily have to take that particular thing with you. It's really just about acknowledging the things that gave you some kind of power or some kind of lesson or some kind of understanding in that moment in time, in that part of your past. And the more that you acknowledge the significance of that thing, the origin of that thing, and why it was once important to you, the easier it then is for you to set it free. The next obvious thing to do is to recognize why it's not important to you anymore. Why do you want to let go of it? Why is it no longer serving you? Is it holding you back in some way? Is it turning you into a version of yourself that you don't necessarily want to be? Is it stopping you from pursuing your dreams? Maybe you've recognized that you need to make way for other things to come into your life, and whatever it is that you want to release is just taking up too much space, too much room, it's draining your energy, and it's making you feel like you can't really seek out out the things that would excite you in the now, in the present moment. Maybe it just represents a former version of you, and you've shed a skin since then. You know, you've become a new version of you that doesn't necessarily relate to that particular thing anymore. Maybe you're watching this video and you know that there is something that you need to release, there is something that no longer serves you, that's taking up space in your life that you need to just say goodbye to, but you're fearful of saying goodbye to it because you don't necessarily know what's going to come next. You feel uncertain about what is going to fill the space that is created by whatever it is that you are going to let go. And that does require a leap of faith. It does require that you are certain with yourself about the fact that if you create space in your life for things to enter, those things will be more relevant to you, more valuable to you, more meaningful to you than the thing that you are just holding on to out of habit. We hold on to so many things out of habit, and it's obviously not self-loving. And a lot of the time we do it out of fear because we don't know what is going to replace that thing that has been a part of our lives, a part of the furniture, if you like, for a long time. And it feels scary to create a space where something new could potentially enter. But this is where you have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself to know when it's time for something new to come into the picture and when it's time for something old to take a bow and leave the scene. Another reason that you might be afraid of releasing what no longer serves you is because you're afraid of losing the people around you who have kind of come to know you for who you are and what you do and how you spend your time. So you fear that if you start making these big sort of grandiose changes, you're going to lose the trust or the respect or the company of the people you've surrounded yourself with. And sometimes that is about having faith in other people, that they are willing to be flexible, that they are willing to watch you evolve, and they're willing to grow up around you like the branches of trees that make room for each other and grow amidst each other and amongst each other in the same space. You might fear being judged by people around you who don't understand why you're releasing certain things. You might fear that those people will feel judged when you release things from your life that they very much are keeping in theirs and factoring into theirs. And again, this is really about a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith for you in terms of your ability to trust yourself and trust your needs and trust your instincts and trust yourself to handle whatever is coming into your life that is the unknown, that will fill the void that you create with the thing you release. And it's also about the leap of faith that you take when you trust in others, when you trust in others to want to know you despite the changes you're going through. And not every relationship survives the releasing of the things that no longer serve you, because a lot of the time when you start to let go of things that aren't serving you anymore, it's because you have a whole different agenda, you have a whole different outlook, you are excited to welcome into your life a whole new phase of your beingness. And sometimes people can't go there with you, they are on your own journey, and you have to kind of find a way for that to be okay. You have to brace yourself for that. You might find that you are scared of releasing what no longer serves you because you don't quite trust your intuition to be sure that that thing no longer serves you. You want to be sure, you want to get it right. But, you know, my point of view on that is quite often if something is nagging you and nagging you and nagging you and you keep thinking about it and you keep questioning whether or not something is right or whether or not you should release it, really in the end you have to accept that something is not right if you keep having that voice entering into your mind. And the sooner you actually release it, the sooner you're going to know either way. When you are in that limbo, when you're stuck in that questioning, you have to accept that something is not right, that there is something about the status quo that needs to be released. And sometimes it's in the action of releasing that you actually find out what's truly important to you. And being stuck in that limbo is not bringing you any closer to that point of illumination. Sometimes you have to ask yourself how much it's actually hurting you to keep hold of that which is no longer serving. What kind of an effect is it having on you? How is it making you feel? How is it affecting your actions? How is it affecting the way that you are around people? How is it affecting the way you feel about your life and the way you feel about yourself? If we continue to try to tie ourselves to these things that no longer make sense for us, that are no longer serving us, it's almost as though the new version of self or the new version of life that wants to come through is being placed on hold. And there's a lot of tension and a lot of frustration and a lot of cosmic static in that. And that's what we're really seeking to kind of dissolve by releasing what no longer serves. We are making way for something new to be born, for something new to enter. And that is definitely scary. Fear should be part of it. Fear is not something that we should see as an inconvenience. It's something that in many ways we should see as a form of sustenance, as a fuel, which is going to help us to release the thing that's no longer serving us, but which we've become very, very used to. We're accustomed to it. It feels safe. It feels familiar. You know, it feels like the thing we've been doing for a long time. So maybe we do not want to let go of it on that basis. And fear of the unknown is perfectly natural, perfectly normal. And if you are moving towards releasing what no longer serves you, in spite of your fear of the unknown, then that is a sure sign that you are on the right track, that something in your deeper instinct is telling you it's time to make room for something else to enter and for this stuff to go the way of the dodo. If you are at this point of readiness to release what no longer serves you, then you are at this point of readiness for expansion. You're going to expand into a life that you don't even know the parameters of yet. And sometimes you just have to let your curiosity win. Even if, as I mentioned earlier, you are going to risk parting ways with people who can't necessarily go with you on the next phase of the journey, it's almost as though you have to feel the excitement and the inquisitiveness that's building inside of you. It's like you have to know, and you can only know by releasing and making space for the new kingdom to be built. You might be one of those people who is much better at encouraging other people to release what no longer serves them than you are able to give yourself permission to release what's no longer serving you. And that's a pretty common problem when we're cheerleading for other people, giving them all the permission they need to make those bold moves and changes and shift things up and get rid of what is just meaningless or damaging. But when it comes to us, we feel like a duty to maintain the status quo. We feel like we're not allowed to make changes. We feel disempowered in that way. And for some of us, that will come from the way that we were raised, the things that we were taught to believe about what we are entitled to expect from our lives and how much autonomy we have over our lives. And for some people, that's changing the habit of a lifetime. That's literally convincing yourself that you are in the driver's seat when nobody really taught you that when you were growing up. Nobody really wanted you to know that. Nobody wanted you to get that memo. So it's really this breaking free. It's like a chain breaking process, shamanically speaking. And when you go through that psycho-spiritual breaking of that idea that you're not in charge, that you're not allowed to make your own decisions, that brings you to a point of incredible liberation, and it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous feeling, but it's hard to get to sometimes when you feel like your life has been laid out for you. You're told what to do. You might have been told what to do by your parents, and then maybe you picked a partner who told you what to do, and maybe you've come to a point in your life where you've decided that it's time for you to allow yourself to say goodbye to the stuff that isn't working anymore and actually start to fill your life with the things that switch you on and plug you in and make you feel fucking fizzy. Sometimes releasing what no longer serves you is a very quick process. You make the decision, you take the action, you close that door, and it's done. And it can almost make your head spin how quickly it happens. Other times you make the decision, and the decision is really the fostering of an intention, but it will take you a while to get rid of that thing that no longer serves you. For example, if you have become aware that your job is no longer serving you, you want to start doing something else, the lessons that you could take from the job you're doing now have run their course, and you feel like the next thing needs to be born. It's going to be highly unlikely, unless you're in a very special set of circumstances, that you will be able to immediately leave your job and go straight to this thing that you know is calling to you. Usually what happens first is that the seed of intention is there, and you plant that seed, and that seed needs to be followed by some strategic actions that you bring into being in a sequence to get you where you would rather be, to get you to the thing that's calling to you. So a lot of the time when you want to release something that no longer serves you, the intention is the very first thing on the agenda. It's really voicing that intention, writing that intention down, speaking that intention aloud to a friend, to your partner, to your therapist, really kind of connecting with that intention and making it real. When you say, I'm ready to release this thing that's not serving me, I'm ready to have new things come into my life, don't convince yourself that there's no power in that. There is an immense amount of power in that. There is 100% more power in actually confessing, committing, making that statement than there is to leaving it inside you, leaving it somewhere hiding, withering in a back room in the psyche. Bring it out, let it actually be on paper, let it hit the air, speak it with your words, really let it come into existence. Too many people tell themselves that if they can't make the change right now, if they can't release whatever it is that needs releasing right now, then it's not worth doing anything at all, it's not worth thinking about it, it's not worth even being conscious of it, and they just put it away, they hide it away, they stuff it down. But actually the intention to change, the intention to release the thing that's no longer serving, that's the start of everything. That is the beginning of everything. And there are so many situations in life where you won't immediately be able to release something that you recognize is not serving you. But the point is not to be able to immediately release it or nothing. The point is to set that intention. It's to recognize it and be conscious of it and refuse to keep stuffing your awareness down. It's much easier to start releasing the things that no longer serve you if you can feel excited about the unknowns that are coming in the future. So try not to be too rigid or too dictatorial about what is going to come next on the journey for you. Be aware that it's a wide open space and lots of different possibilities are going to come into your line of sight as you start to say goodbye to the things that aren't serving you any longer. I welcome you to give yourself permission to release what no longer serves you as part of your Self-Love September this year. And if you're waiting around for external permission, cosmic permission, somebody else's permission, please be aware that that permission may never come. And it's really only you that can grant yourself that internal contract that can give yourself that permission that you need to be able to say goodbye to the things that are really just weighing you down in life. They are not giving you what you need anymore. And it's okay for you to give yourself that permission to move on to new things. I've very, very much enjoyed imparting these ideas to you, and I will see you in the next video. Please catch me on social media, leave me your comments down below. I would love to know what you need to release that's no longer serving you. Have you recently released something that's no longer serving you? Are you planting that seed of intention today? I really love this conversation. I like having the conversation about releasing what is just dead weight and being able to invite new things into our lives. And these kinds of conversations are why I do what I do for a living. So I guess it thrills me. What can I tell you? I'll see you in the next episode of Self-Love September. I'm so excited for the rest of the content, and I'm really excited for what's coming in October as well. I'm already filming for October. I've already got some unboxings that I want to show to you guys that I've filmed and prepared, and I've got so many other thoughts and ideas. Thank you so much for your really positive response to the Working with Archetypes video. I really enjoyed those comments in particular, and I will have much more archetype content coming for you throughout October and beyond. I've got so much to say on that subject, so if you guys want more from me on that, which you overwhelmingly seem to do, then I am happy to grant your wish. Until the next video, Pop Tarts, much love and self-love. Blessed be. Mwah.